Joining us now via Zoom is Ayodele Adio. He's the lead strategist at Adio Strategy and Communications. And we're going to be discussing a subject that impacts every Nigerian, the availability, affordability, and distribution of petrol, as well as the true role of Dangote Refinery in addressing our fuel needs. Ayodele, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get right into it. Let's begin by saying, what is the importance? Many Nigerians have assumed that, hey, once Dangote goes on stream, drastically, there will be a price drop, right? And then the question then will be, what then really is the impact of the refinery? And what is he expected to do for the Nigerian people? How does it shape the availability, and affordability of fuel? Because that's where we're all crying. It's a very important issue. What really is the role of the Dangote Refinery in the scheme of things? And what should Nigerians expect?
Well, first, let's deal with the pricing issue, because there's been this misconception that the Dangote Refinery is supposed to crash the price of petrol, or in fact, that the reason why the cost of petrol seems to be going up is largely because of the Dangote Refinery, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The primary reason why the prices of petrol continue to soar at the pump is because of the depreciation of the currency. Our value, the value of our currency has dropped by close to 65% in the last 18 months. And that is the primary driver of the cost of petrol at the pumps. And I guarantee you that if today the Naira appreciates by close to 65%, you are likely to see a drop in close to 50% in the price of petrol at the pumps. So I think it's important to clarify that the cost of petrol is a macroeconomic issue, and except we fix the macroeconomic fundamentals that weakens our currency or that depreciates the value of our currency, we're not likely to see a decline in the pump price of petrol across the country. Now, to your other half of the question, where you talked about what the Dangote Refinery is supposed to serve the Nigerian people with, of course, to a very large extent, it not only guarantees a level of energy security, but it also guarantees a level of availability and will help to deal with the persistent queues that we deal with every now and then, as a country. But above all, the strategic and most important thing that it does for us is that it saves us, from the level of forex exposure that our country embarks on, especially from the importation of petrol. Right? And of course, it helps us, to surge our foreign reserves in terms of the exportation of not just petrol from the refinery, but all the derivatives, from that same, in terms of fertilizer, and all sorts of derivatives from the refinery. That will guarantee earnings in forex for the country. So it's playing a strategic role in reducing our foreign exchange exposure. It's stimulating the local economy. It's creating thousands of jobs. And of course, it's helping us also drive exports to earn foreign exchange in significant numbers. So that, for me, sums up the benefits of that particular refinery.
All right. It's brilliant that you've said that. And but you see, there are people who are saying, you said something about the whole import and export thing. And then you have marketers who are saying, hey, we can bring in petrol at a much cheaper rate. And people are saying, hey, why not allow this happen? Is it not supposed to be, fair competition, beautiful competition that can help the price, become cheaper, because we can now buy, some of the other things we are buying from different vendors, from different producers, basically. So it's expected that if many people are producing and selling, then the price can be very, free, way better for the normal Nigerian person to just buy from anybody who they can buy from. So what do you think about that concept?
Well, firstly, let us deal with the competition thing, right? I'm all for competition. I'm all for a market economy that encourages competition, which will definitely push prices down in the long term. But what a healthy competition will mean is that the federal government, or the NNPC, does its part in getting on our refineries that are moribund on stream. That means they get to fix the Port Harcourt refinery, they get to fix the Warri and the Kaduna refinery. And once these refineries come on stream, they provide the context for which you can have healthy competition with the Dangote refinery. But more importantly, it creates and boosts our local economy, because it means that we're driving production locally and not having to import, inflation into our country. Now, the argument by certain marketers who claim that they can import petrol at a price lower than the Dangote Refinery is extremely laughable, because if you looked at news reports, as at last year, the NNPC had claimed that the landing cost of petrol was about 1,300 naira per liter. Earlier this year in July, the Energy Association, Markets Association, had claimed that the landing cost of petrol was 1,117 naira per liter. Now, I don't know the miracle that any importer wants to perform to be able to import petrol at 800 naira per liter, except, of course, that petrol, is substandard
Substandard, okay.
and it's poor quality. And there's an argument to make that most of the petrol that we import in this country are of poor quality. And you don't need to look further than the report that was published by Volkswagen when they exited the Nigerian market. And one of the reasons that they gave for leaving the Nigerian market was the fact that they argued that most of the petrol that we import in this country is of low quality, capable of harming the engines that they are going to be producing and selling. So we've had to deal with poor petrol over the years in this country, dirty fuel that causes environmental pollution and that knocks generator engines every now and then. So if that's the kind of petrol that is being imported at a more cheaper rate, then of course that's being counterproductive, right? So what is healthy competition, what healthy competition will mean is getting the refineries that we have to work and to compete with the Dangote refinery locally and consequently push down prices. But what have we seen? We've spent $1.5 billion on the turnaround of the Port Harcourt refinery and nothing to show for it. In fact, the National Assembly have said they were going to be probing the 11.1 trillion that has been spent on turnaround maintenance. But that's the reality. We've spent millions, trillions of naira in trying to turn around these refineries, and today none of them gets to work. Rather, instead of the conversation to be about getting those refineries to work, we seem to be making a case for the continuous importation of petrol, which is harming our economy, which is importing inflation, which is, exposing us, to foreign exchange volatility. And in the long run, it's putting us in a very, very bad spot. And I don't think that should continue.
Well, I was going to ask you what the solution was, but it sounds like you just gave a solution there. I think that's, perhaps in just one sentence, you will tell us what you think we should do to get this nation to have that fuel in which the ordinary Nigerian is not dying to buy.
Well, I mean, a lot of things need to happen in the medium and the long term. I think in the short term, what we need to do is to encourage local production, right? And encourage local production. Unfortunately, at the moment, none of our refineries is working except for the Dangote refinery. And what we need to do is to guarantee feedstock in naira and to perhaps peg the price so that we insulate it from volatility.
All right.
The second thing that we most likely have to do, of course, is to find a way to get our other refineries, to start working. And once we do that, and we fix our macroeconomic fundamentals where our currency can start to gain value when we begin to export products with a little more value addition, that way our currency will strengthen, our foreign reserves will be boosted, and that you see prices come down significantly over the next few years. That, for me, is the way to build a healthy economy going forward.
All right.